I have decided not to give my name because it's the best for me, and also because I'm a full accomplice in the horror you're about to hear. So my alias to the story will be known as Noah. This incident occurred more than 5 years ago, and I have held on to it for all this time. No matter how much I try, I simply cannot sleep well. Maybe telling this will remove the enormous weight that has been present on my conscience. I worked at KFC for more than 12 years. I loved that place. The smell of chicken, the customers chatting, basically everything related to that restaurant made me happy. If I remember correctly, it was a Thursday, and I received a call from the manager's office. When I went there, they told me I would soon be promoted to manager. I remember the manager at that time told me that being a manager comes with many new responsibilities, and that he hoped that I could handle them as he had done for all those years. I remember him telling me with a smile, "I'm completely sure I'm capable, sir, and I know I will be able to assume the position." Then he responded with a low and dark tone, "I really hope you are." During my last week as a normal employee, I was assigned night shifts. There was a charming chubby kid named Timmy. He always used to come to the restaurant. He stayed there all day until late at night, and since he was a regular customer, I pretty much became friends with him. Later, I discovered the reason he was always at my restaurant was because he hated going home. I remember he told me, "My mom and dad are always fighting and they really don't care about me. So every time they give me money to eat, I always come here so I don't have to see them fight." I liked the kid because I sympathized with him. So after my shift, I always kept him company. Most of the time, I sat with him while he ate. One particular thing I remember about young Timmy was that he always licked his fingers vigorously after eating his food. I always chuckled because it reminded me of the KFC slogan, "Finger looking good." So every time I served him, I always said, "It is so good, you will lick your fingers." The next day, during my second night shift, I saw a man enter wearing a hooded sweatshirt. He had a bad aura and just made the whole atmosphere tense. He walked up to the counter to order a bucket of chicken. I remember approaching the table to serve the food to the strange man, and he said to me in a low, deep voice, "Are these the finger-looking good ones?" I was confused but said, "Yes, sir, I suppose." Then he responded, "Yes, I'm sure these are finger-licking good." It scared me, but I responded with a forced smile and said, "Yes, sure." He did not respond. He stirred into a void and began eating in silence. I returned to the counter, feeling a little bit anxious and shocked. After a while, the man finished his meal and left, leaving only Timmy and me in the restaurant. I do not know why, but I sighed in relief because the atmosphere was no longer tense. The next night was basically the same. The man came in and ordered the same thing as the night before, and the night after that, it continued in the same order. The man arrived at the same time. Nothing changed until last night of that week. I was going to be manager the next day, so it was my last day as a normal worker. I was not really doing anything, so I went out for a minute to throw away the trash. When I returned, I could not see anyone. Not Timmy, not the man, but I was so sure no one had left since I had seen no one exit through the front door. I got scared, and that was when I started hearing sounds coming from the kitchen. I waited a few minutes before deciding to go check. Finally, I reached the kitchen and saw the strange man tending the grill while whistling a tune. I remember asking, "What are you doing here? Where's the cook?" The hooded man replied in his usual low voice. His shift ended, so it's my turn. I was shocked for a minute as I watched him work confidently, as if he were sure of what he was saying. Then I quickly said, "I'm sorry, sir, but you do not work here and customers cannot be in the kitchen. You must leave." The hooded man simply ignored me and continued cooking. I was perplexed because I did not know what to do. I contemplated forcibly removing him from the kitchen, but seeing that he was a huge and unpredictable man, I decided not to. While I was lost in my thoughts, I noticed he took a jar from his pocket and slowly began adding something into the fryer. I couldn't distinguish it at first glance, but upon looking more closely, I realized he was frying something strange. It took me a moment to process what I was seeing, and I began to back away to call the police. That was when I tripped over something. I quickly looked at what made me trip, and I saw something that scared me deeply. I started screaming. My manager came running, and I began saying, "Thank God you're here. Please, get help." That was when my manager told me to shut up. "We do not want to alert anyone now, do we?" Then he walked calmly towards the hooded man and said, "Mr. Cornelius, this our night shift program." That was when the man removed his hood and I saw his face. He had scars all over and he looked very disturbing. The manager continued explaining that good wine adds divine flavor to dishes. And in the same way, this special ingredient adds flavor to the chicken. I was still frozen in place and confused. Then he continued, "It is simple. For the flavor to be special, we need unique ingredients. It's like a secret spice." He offered me to try the chicken, but I didn't want to. I was too scared and confused. The manager explained that these were the new responsibilities that came in with being a manager, and that he was once in my position. I didn't know why, but there was a voice in my head telling me to do it. Maybe it was my selfish human desires, since I really wanted to be manager. Unconsciously, I had waited so long for this position, and if keeping a small secret was the price to get what I wanted, so be it. I remember tasting the chicken and realized that everything he said was true. It had a unique flavor, something I had not tasted before. I was the manager of the branch for 5 years. In that time, I ignored all the missing posters that appeared because I had knew what had happened to each and every one of them. Even after all this time, I thought I had silenced my conscience, but I still see disturbing things in my dreams every night. I'm not telling this story to ask for forgiveness or out of remorse. I'm doing it because I hope that telling this story will give me peace that I desperately need. I used to work part-time at KFC. I was a college student with no money and needed a way to earn some money to pay my expenses. I worked a closing shift, so I could take some of the food from the store and save some money on food as well. For all the fuss KFC makes about its 11 secret herbs and spices, actually preparing the chicken requires surprisingly little skill. You simply cover a bunch of chicken parts with a flour and spice mixture and submerge them in an oil fryer for a while. If it is undercooked when you take it out, you just put it back in for a few minutes. If it is overcooked, just serve it anyways. It is not like anyone is willing to complain about the quality of food if they are already willing to eat at KFC. I never questioned what was inside the spice mixture on the kitchen I served people every day. I didn't even like the taste. That was fine during the first week I worked there, but after eating KFC every night to save some money, I was starting to get really tired of it. I kept eating because it was free food. One day, I went to work as usual. I fried a bunch of chicken for a group of people who were regulars or passing through, and I divided what was left with the other employees to take home. When I got home, the grease from the chicken had stuck to the bottom of the cardboard box I used to carry it, and the once crunchy batter had become soggy during the long car ride. I went into my apartment and sat in front of the television to eat the KFC chicken I brought home with me. But I noticed something strange when I took the first bite. I have eaten KFC chicken many times, and I knew the taste of the KFC like the back of my hand, whether I liked it or not. This was not the normal taste of the KFC chicken. There was a strange sweetness, almost floral, and I didn't recognize it. And a slightly bitter aftertaste that left my tongue a little bit numb, but not in a bad way. It was just strange. I'm sure someone who had not eaten it almost every day like me probably would have not noticed the change in flavor. I assumed the flour spice mixture from the last batch might have gone a few days past its expiration date, and I decided it would be better not to finish the chicken. I threw the rest of the chicken out the window of my apartment into the alley below so a lucky stray dog could come and eat it. The next night at work, one of my co-workers, Jerry, chatted with me about the strange taste of the chicken while we were working on the fries to make more. "Hello, is it just me or did last night's chicken taste a little weird to you?" "I know what you mean, I couldn't finish it either." "Was it expired spice or something?" "I didn't check the expiration date on the new spices that arrived last night. They probably changed the formula without telling anyone to save on cost." "I see. It probably doesn't taste very different for other people who do not eat it every day like we do." "Yes. To be honest, I think we've all been eating too much fried chicken since we started working here. I think there's more grease than blood in my veins at this point. How about we get some food after work? I heard there's a noodle shop nearby that stays open very late." Jerry must have been the nicest guy on the face of the planet because I didn't even realize he was inviting me until halfway through the date. And I didn't even care when I realized I was on one. I had a good time eating some real food with a cute guy I liked, and I got home a little later than usual. Oddly enough, when I went back for the pieces of chicken I had thrown out the night before, they were still there. Normally, the stray dogs in my area would fight each other over even the smallest scraps of expired food, but 3 whole pieces of fried chicken survived without getting devoured. That was quite a miracle. Even if it was KFC chicken, whatever was in that fried chicken must have smelled so unpleasant to dogs that even they didn't want to eat it. Sales at KFC skyrocketed over the next few days to the point that there was no chicken left. The people eating at KFC also changed. They were some regular customers who came from time to time since I started working there, but after the chicken started tasting strange, they came almost every day and started ordering buckets of chicken instead of the modest sized menu they normally ordered. Their appearance also changed. Their faces had become pale and dirty with bloodshot eyes that moved quickly everywhere as they waited for their food. Red dots dotted their bodies like insect bites that they scratched until their nails grew bloody. It only got worse over time. Despite eating large amounts of chicken every day, the regular customers became skeletally thin with sunken faces that made them look more like walking corpses than people. On a particularly busy night, we ran out of chicken while the restaurant was full of sickly-looking regular customers. When the regular customers approached the cashier I was attending at the time, "A bucket of chicken, please." "I'm sorry, sir, we ran out of chicken for the night." The man's bloodshot eyes widened in surprise, and his lips curled into this angry snarl. "It cannot be. Chicken. I need chicken now." The screaming man started attracting the attention of the other regular customers, but instead of them being upset, they seemed equally concerned about the lack of chicken. Those who were still eating were clutching their buckets of chicken tightly, while those who had almost finished theirs looked at them with hungry eyes. The next few minutes passed in an instant. The regular customer who had been talking to me lunged at a woman with an almost full bucket of chicken and tried to grab the drumstick. The moment his hand approached the bucket, the woman grabbed him by his wrist and bit him. Just a scream from the man, followed by several more other customers as they scratched and fought each other over the chicken. I retreated to the kitchen with the other employees and we called the police. Our manager told us that he would go out to wait for the police and left the restaurant through the back door. When the police finally arrived, the whole place was filled with crazed customers fighting each other over fried chicken. The police had to intervene to stop them and arrest them, although many of them had to be taken by ambulance. When I asked the police where the manager who went out to wait for them was, they looked at me confused. They did not see anyone outside when they arrived. The KFC was closed the next few days for a police investigation. Jerry and I told the police how customers started acting strange as the chicken recipe changed. When they analyzed the spice mixture we had been using, the chicken tested positive for a highly addictive and very illegal drug. The police theorized that the manager must have been putting this addictive drug in the chicken in an attempt to increase sales, which worked, but at the cost of the physical and mental health of the customers. When he realized they were going to catch him, he ran away and never looked back, like that greedy coward he was. I live with the guilt of accidentally ruining the lives of all those people every day. Jerry assures me that none of us could have known, but he knows it was a lie, just like I do. If we had cared more about our job, we could have saved many people from the life of addiction that they are trapped in now.